And good morning, YouTube. Business Express is about to get underway.
Transaction solutions you can depend on.
Smooth 98.1. It is gone past 6:30 for a Wednesday morning. Welcome to the world of business. Business Express reigns for the next 15 minutes here on Smooth Breakfast. I'm Sope Martins, and joining me, of course, is Rotus. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Sope. Good morning to all our listeners and YouTube viewers out there. Good to be with you all. It's back to work for everybody. Let's get back to work, huh?
And I'm doing my little dance that you can only see on YouTube. So go over to our channel. We are youtube.com/smooth981FM Lagos. Make sure you join the conversation there by leaving your comments on the live stream. You can also join the conversation on Twitter with @Rotanquote and @Smooth981FM using the hashtag BusinessExpress981. And of course, there's always WhatsApp, which I know you love, 0809 444 0981. So, Rotus, we've been talking about food insecurity for a while here on Business Express, and we talked about, in fact, yesterday, did we talk about fertilizer?
We did. We did a whole number of issues. Yeah.
And now we're seeing emergency.
It was more about. It was more about. We mentioned fertilizer. Yesterday was shrinkflation, how companies are reducing the amount of what they offer. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, today, now we're seeing that emergency shop. I didn't know we could emergency shop for fertilizer, but here we are.
Yeah, so apparently Reuters is saying that they got confirmation from Uche Orji, who is the head of the NSIA, the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, that Nigeria had to make an emergency buy of potash, which is a blend of fertilizer from Canada in April. Because what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, apparently we weren't able to get any from Russia because of what's been going on. Russia has been, as you know, they've restricted exports of fertilizer because they want to keep some for themselves. So they tried to get the amount of, how much we paid, but he wouldn't give any disclosure on how much was paid. But spot prices apparently are up like 200 or 250%.
Goodness.
Think about potash as a blend of fertilizer. Canada is the largest producer. So between Canada, Russia, Belarus, and China, the four of those countries account for about 80% of potash around the world. So essentially, the war in Ukraine, this is yet another negative side effect of what's going on with the war, to where countries that rely on imports of fertilizer blends from different countries countries that rely on Russia for fertilizer blends have to now quickly look elsewhere. And that now there's a strain on your fiscal structure because you're spending more money to buy something that is now 2 times, 3 times more expensive than what it was a year or two ago. But you have to buy it because you need the fertilizer in order to for crop growth, which feeds into the food supply chain that we talked about yesterday. And so that's the issue. And I mean, combined with other countries restricting imports, it just increases your cost. Now, this essentially is why we are so dependent on the Dangote plants to come on stream, because byproduct of his refinery, he also has like a $2 billion fertilizer plant, which is already set in the export zone of Lekki to be able to export to other countries. So there is the hope that it will reduce to some measure, to some degree, the dependency on having to import from other countries. But I don't believe it's coming on stream until I think it's September or October, later this, well, actually, hold on, let me make sure I got that right. I think it started in small measure, but full capacity.
I think it's September, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's when that is to take place.
Rose, it's just a little aside question here. Is Dangote now the new Black Saviour?
Well,
keep waiting for Dangote.
because
refineries, fertilizer plants.
Exactly. You think about, refineries, as far as fuel is concerned, it'll save us a lot on FX, right? So we won't have to spend dollars to bring refined fuel into the country. It also save on FX well. Hopefully, I don't know if it can eliminate or replace completely what we're getting from the Russias of this world, but it'll go some way in some kind of savings. But then again, that's still down the line. And it's going to be gradual. So, I mean, they've already inaugurated it. President Buhari already commissioned the fertilizer plant. Dangote was there, a bunch of dignitaries were there. That's already happened. But, it takes some time for him to for the full rollouts to begin. So between now and then, it's going to be a bit of pressure. And this revelation that we had to go emergency buying of potash from Canada proves that this is an issue. But then it's not only Nigeria that's facing it. A whole number of other nations are facing it. The Europeans apparently are looking at Nigeria, Algeria, Egypt, in order to get gas supplies, because they're trying to cut off gas imports from the very same Russia. But the countries that are in pole position right now, because Italy, I understand, already signed a deal with Algeria for gas supplies. I mean, the Northern African countries are closer to Europe. So they've got Algeria, for example, I think has pipelines already running to Europe. They supply Spain, they supply Italy. In fact, Italy and Spain apparently are jostling now because Algeria is this new bride for gas. I mean, Nigeria could have been there, but we're further west of Western Africa. We haven't quite gotten our pipelines going yet, but there's a big master gas plan to get that going. So when things like this pop up, you wish that you had already put the necessary investments in place years ago to be able to take advantage of new buyers that want to get access to your gas. So that's the enviable position that the Egypts and the Algerias of this world are already in. But make no mistake about it.
Let's call a spade a spade. That's called forward thinking.
It is, exactly. It is, right? We have the largest gas reserves in Africa, right? I mean, proven gas reserves. The issue, though, is whether or not we've made the subsequent investments in gas to be able to utilize the potential in the gas reserve. So you can have all the gas reserves in the world. If you don't have the infrastructure to be able to pipe that gas to other destinations, then what is of use of your large gas reserve? So again, Algeria already has infrastructure going towards Europe. I think Egypt does as well. Italy has already signed a deal with Algeria. Meanwhile, there were delegates from Europe that came to visit Nigeria. They met with the NNPC. They talked about gas, but it was all talk. No actual deal was signed. And ENI, which is an Italian oil and gas giant, is here. They have a joint venture, LNG.
Yeah, but then they have to declare like force majeure, and they only just resumed exports last month? No, March.
Okay, that was the Transforcados pipeline. That was really more for oil. That was affecting a number of them. It wasn't particularly ENI. But the issue is that if Italy is signing gas deals with Algeria and you've got an Italian company here in Nigeria, why hasn't it been signed? It's because of the fact that there is still issues with infrastructure when it comes to Nigeria's gas potential that haven't yet been explored. So that's what we're seeing.
All right, now we've got messages coming in, so let's take a look at some of them. Again, Ochuko says, so we don't have, hold on, where did that message go? So we don't have potash in Nigeria? Well, that's his question.
We have, but then there's the issue of, like everything else, we got rice in Nigeria, we've got maize in Nigeria,
but it's undersupply, so we need to.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's it.
We also have palm oil in Nigeria, but we're importing 50% of what we need.
There you go, and there it is. There it is.
All right, and Benga Akamu says, so there are a few modular refineries in the country. According to a news report, they are dormant because NNPC is not supplying crude rather than exporting. Says.
So look, this whole modular refineries are small. They're smaller refineries. A refinery, you refine fuel, you've got to sell it. And the issue with the refineries is if you're not selling at a price that gives you a profit above what it costs you to, because fuel is priced internationally in dollars, right? So yeah, there's a cost for refining this fuel. Even though you are saving on costs from importing it from overseas, fine, you refine it here. The cost component, the majority of it is still crude, international crude, which is priced in dollars. you still have to sell it at a price that will give you a profit above your cost of refining and everything else. As long as we are still at 165 naira per liter, which is well below the international price of, I think in Kenya, Ghana, they're paying 300-400 and so on and so forth. There's still an issue. So all that talk of modular refineries until they're able to sell at a price that gives them a profit, it's just another talking point without anything behind it.
Okay, now can we talk about Mr. Musk?
Yeah, I was going to say this for Tech Friday, but it just broke this morning, so I was like, let's not let the news become old.
And can I say that I really love how Elon Musk keeps delivering the news about Twitter, the business news about Twitter via the medium, right? Via the platform.
Exactly.
So he's always tweeting about what's going to happen. So he came out with some tweets with a tweet saying that we might actually see commercial and government users of Twitter paying a slight paying a slight charge.
Yeah. So Twitter's issue has always been how to monetize. Facebook has monetized pretty well, but Twitter has had challenges with monetization, right? Twitter primarily depends on ad revenue, ads, and they want to get more money, right? So he's now saying that. So what really happened is, I think there were some brands that, or rather civil advocacy groups that wrote a letter to brands like Coca-Cola, I think Starbucks, telling them that, hey, listen, you need to make sure that Twitter's content rules stay in place. If you allow this Elon Musk guy to just, because he's been talking free speech, everybody should be allowed to say what they say. If you allow them to, then are you going to be associated with, extremists being allowed to say what they want on a platform that you are advertising on? So he now responded and said, who are the people who are behind these groups that are trying to control free speech? That is the nexus of the issues that Elon Musk is having. Free speech versus content moderation. He now replied the tweet and now came back and said that, well, the Freemasons, one of the undoings of the Freemasons was that they allowed their skills of stone making or whatever it is he said, was their undoing was not being compensated for it. Then he replied and said, okay, if Twitter is going to be free for casual users, but governments and businesses might have to pay money. Will that deter a government from using Twitter? Will the Nigerian government leave Twitter if it's forced to pay, or the American government, or the Canadian government, or the Indian government? Well, during elections, these governments, they benefit a lot from Twitter. Businesses also benefit a lot in terms of using the platform to sell. So I think if it goes to that, in my experiment, I think they'll still pay. I think they'll stay because the benefits outweigh the costs. Look, there's an election coming next year. Watch APC, PDP, and all the political parties, how they'll flood Twitter with their campaign stuff. So I think, we'll see how it goes. But
a lot of major movements started on Twitter.
Yeah.
Be huge. Spring, Me Too. A lot of people got, we've seen the effect of Twitter.
Massive. It's a massive platform. So, whether or not the potential of every government on Twitter and every business paying a small fee, that could be huge for the company's revenue. So we will see how it works, but it's still the back and forth on the whole free speech thing and what that means for brands. No brand has said anything yet, but that's where we are right now.
So very quickly, because we've run out of time actually, but Ogeno Chukwu says, I heard the news on Twitter. Will it affect SMEs? And also the government should tax Twitter.
Yeah, but taxing Twitter, they're not here. They're not physically here. They said they will open an office there. They have to open the office. They have an office in Ghana. That hasn't happened yet. So, that's still up in the air.
All right. Well, there you have it. That is that for Business Express for today. For more on Elon Musk, take it to Twitter and take it to @Rotanquote. All right. He's always got the juice on what's going on there. And you can also find us on Twitter @Smooth981FM. Rotus, has been a blast.